let's talk about this water problem. This is what you inherited. What the heck is going on in the capital city of Virginia?
Yeah, well, things are on a better trajectory now, but those early days were rough. We had a power outage that led to a failure of the water plant and flooding. And so a lot of our equipment, our pumps and filters got damaged. And, we were about 2.5 days without producing any water. And then because we were out of service for so long, we needed to wait about another 48 hours before we could clear the water to drink. And so we were under a boiling water advisory for about 5.5 days. And yeah, it was a hard thing for our community. And understandably, I mean, you recognize how important water is to just every part of your everyday life.
Well, absolutely. And so you lost power. Now, how are you assessing those critical city services so you don't run into this problem again?
Yeah, I think one of the realities of our city is that it's an old city. We celebrated a 100-year anniversary this past year in our water treatment plant. But part of dealing in an old city is making investments, ongoing investments in that infrastructure, and that's something that we had done to some extent, but probably not to the extent that we needed to. And so we'll understand more of that as we go through our after action report. We have signed a contract with an engineering firm who's going to come in and kind of do a head-to-toe look at what happened on the morning of January 6th here in Richmond, and then what happened in the subsequent hours, and how did we end up in the scenario that we were without water for 5 days. And I think the after-action report will tell us a lot. It'll tell us probably a lot about aging infrastructure, about maintenance that we hadn't been doing, about a culture of emergency preparedness and responsiveness that we really need to bolster as we come out of this. So eager to see what they say. It'll probably be a couple weeks before we have the round one of that analysis, but I think there'll be a lot for our community to talk about, and hopefully for our city council and state legislature to say, okay, we've got to make some ongoing investments here for critical pieces of our infrastructure.
Talk about the fact that I read this earlier, that among all of those nutcase executive orders Trump signed, one stopping the funding of the bipartisan infrastructure law. There are a number of cities, counties, and states that are depending upon that federal money to fix vital infrastructure. Trump didn't do anything in 4 years to pass an infrastructure bill, and so now he's playing around with the money and being petty. And guess what? This may hurt lots of places, including places that voted for him.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think the funding that the federal government has provided through that infrastructure law has really helped communities, and I think we had hopes, and we're doing some work to really pull down federal funding because, we are an old city. And so you take this water crisis as one example, but we needed another $500 to $600 million to fix our combined stormwater overflow if we want to keep our river healthy. And so there's funding for the sewer stormwater, there's funding for our roads, for bridges that are reaching the end of their life. And so infrastructure has to be something that our federal government continues to invest in local communities, because people's safety, health, and well-being are at risk.
Absolutely. Well, listen, hopefully things get sorted out there. Last question for you. What are your priorities as a new mayor of Richmond, Virginia?
Yeah, well, they're a little different now, Roland. I don't think infrastructure was at the front of mind when I came into this job 2.5 are the number one issue that came up on the campaign trail. And so we really need to look at how are we stewarding city land? How are we using innovative tools? How are we incentivizing more development in our city? Because more housing is going to create more opportunities, both for market rate housing, but it's also going to bring down the prices of housing across the board, right? More housing is better for everybody, but we also need to make sure that we're creating more affordable housing for those at the lower end of the socioeconomic spectrum, those making 0 to 30% of the area median income. So affordable housing, really focusing on city services, on improving the customer experience, on improving efficiencies within city government. I think a lot of folks want and demand more from their local governments. And so we've got to be really thoughtful about how we're reaching our customers and our end users and making sure that they have trust in the government that their tax dollars are funding. And then, the other big issue for every community is schools, investing in K through 12 education, both in old, aging infrastructure, but also as schools are being dependent on more and more for mental health services, social services, food. We really need to make sure that we are coming alongside our schools to meet all of the needs of our population. And now, really in the wake of this water crisis, is taking a hard look at our aging infrastructure across the board and making sure that we are making the ongoing investments we need so that another crisis like this doesn't happen.
All right, then. Mayor, I surely appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Good luck.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
Support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. You heard what we just talked about there. Folks, I can't reiterate this enough. Listen to me clearly. I cannot reiterate this enough. When you've got technology companies running scared, when you've got legacy media not doing their job, when you've got Black-owned media that is disintegrated, now is more than ever for us to have independent media that cares about the truth, that is willing to say what needs to be said. So when you support Roland Martin Unfiltered, this show, when you support the Black Star Network, you're not just supporting me, you're supporting the other shows. Our goal is to add 2 more shows this year. We want additional shows. We want more weekly and daily shows because we want to be able to speak truth to power. We want to be able to say what is necessary where other people are scared. And when you are scared, when you're looking over your shoulder, oh my God, that advertising contract is not going to come in. Well, guess what? A lot of these major ad agencies, they're not even supporting us anyway. In 6 years of doing this show, Group M hasn't done a damn thing with us. Publicis hasn't done anything with us. You've got Horizon, you've got all of these folks, they haven't done jack. And so we are calling it like we see it, and we're speaking truth. And unlike some of these other so-called progressives and people who believe in truth, I'm not running around trying to kiss MAGA ass and kiss Trump's ass. I won't be going to Mar-a-Lago, not for a damn thing. And so this is about us being able to speak truth. So when you support this show and this network with your resources, that is exactly what is happening, because we are trying to build something that is bigger and broader, and actually it has the courage to say what needs to be said, even when it makes other folk uncomfortable. If you want to contribute giving Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. This is it right here. And if you are listening, simply go to blackstarnetwork.com to check it out. Also, if you want to see your checking money order, some of y'all old school, we understand that. See your checking money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 2003 7-0196. PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And again, folks, we've got some 4 million social media followers. If only 20,000 of our fans contribute at least $50 each, which comes out to $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day, that's $1 million. It allows us to be able to continue to build, to add these shows and do the work that's required. So your support is needed. So please join our Bring the Funk fan club today. If you've not already joined, if you have given to us in the past, please renew your commitment, because it's important that we support Black-owned media, because Black-owned media matters.